Hello everyone and welcome to Old Coins TV channel. If you love exploring the world of coins, their history, value, and rare discoveries, you've come to the right place. Here, we'll share exciting information about coins from around the world, from ancient treasures to modern currency. So, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to never miss our latest videos. The Washington nickel of 1986, minted at the Denver Mint and distinguished by the D Mint mark, represents not only a slice of American numismatic history but also a coin that has quietly captivated collectors with its subtle yet notable characteristics. In very fine condition, this coin showcases the precise, classic portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with his profile elegantly detailed, the sharp contours of his hair, and the gentle curve of his neckline, while the reverse presents Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia home, in crisp relief that, when closely examined, reveals remarkable nuances in the brickwork, windows, and roofline, making it a fascinating study for those who appreciate the artistry of U.S. coinage. And although the 1986 D nickel was produced in relatively high quantities compared to rarer issues, coins that have survived in very fine condition, free from deep scratches, corrosion, or uneven toning, have gradually become more desirable in today's collector market. These coins can command a surprising range of value, typically beginning in the low hundreds of dollars for well-preserved specimens, but exceptional examples, especially those with near-perfect strike, consistent luster, and clear mint markings, can escalate into the thousands, reflecting not only their physical quality but also their historical resonance as part of a pivotal decade in U.S. minting practices when subtle changes in planchet composition and minting technology contributed to variations that discerning collectors prize. Beyond mere monetary worth, the 1986 D Washington nickel embodies an educational story about 1980s America, where coinage served both as everyday currency and as a canvas for artistry, history, and careful craftsmanship, making it a cornerstone for collectors specializing in mid-20th century U.S. nickels. And by studying this coin, enthusiasts can trace the evolution of minting techniques, observe the interplay of wear patterns over decades, and develop a deeper appreciation for how coins reflect both the economic and cultural landscapes of their era, ultimately positioning the 1986 D very fine Washington nickel not only as a tangible asset in a collector's portfolio but as a miniature historical artifact whose combination of rarity and quality, distinct mint mark, and preserved detail ensures that it remains highly sought after in auctions, private sales, and coin shows, where knowledgeable collectors are willing to invest significant sums to secure a specimen that exemplifies the peak of mid-1980s numismatic craftsmanship. Hello, coin enthusiasts, history lovers, and collectors alike. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of U.S. coinage, focusing on one coin that might seem ordinary at first glance but carries both historical significance and unexpected market value. The 1986 D Washington nickel, particularly in very fine condition. At first, a Washington nickel from the 1980s may not scream rarity. After all, the mid-1980s were not exactly a period of low mintage for this series. Yet, when we examine the Denver Mint production of 1986, we begin to uncover nuances that make this coin a quietly coveted piece for collectors who understand the subtle intricacies of mid-20th century coinage. The D Mint mark, placed just above the Monticello building on the reverse side, indicates its origin from Denver, one of the United States' primary mints, and this mark alone can influence value, especially when paired with the coin's condition. Now, what makes a 1986 D nickel in very fine condition special? To answer that, we need to discuss grading. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from poor to mint state, and very fine sits comfortably in the mid-upper range. For a Washington nickel, this means that while the coin shows light wear on Jefferson's hair, cheek, and coat, the major details are still sharp and clear. Monticello on the reverse is well defined, with rooflines, columns, and windows visible, though slightly softened from circulation. The surfaces maintain a pleasing luster, and the edges are intact without major dings or corrosion. Coins that have survived in this condition for nearly 4 decades are rarer than one might assume, because circulation naturally wears down the finer details of design, making these specimens prized among collectors who value both historical authenticity and aesthetic appeal. But the story doesn't stop at grading. The 1986D nickel carries a unique historical context. Produced during a period when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with more automated, high-speed production techniques, slight variations in striking pressure, planchet thickness, and die alignment can create subtle differences between coins that, to the trained eye, make a specimen stand out. For example, some 1986D nickels show slightly more pronounced hairlines on Jefferson, or a crisper Monticello dome, due to minor die polishing variations at the Denver Mint. These subtle differences are often cataloged by numismatists and can significantly impact collector interest, especially when a coin retains its original strike sharpness and displays minimal post-mint wear. For serious collectors, understanding these nuances is part of the thrill of collecting Washington nickels from the 1980s. Each coin becomes a mini time capsule, preserving not just metal but a moment in minting history. When it comes to market value, the 1986D Washington nickel in very fine condition is an interesting case. While common circulated coins from this year might fetch a few dollars at a local coin shop, those that meet the very fine standard, or better yet, extremely fine or uncirculated, can enter a more lucrative market. As of today, collectors report that well-preserved 1986D nickels in very fine condition can range from hundreds of dollars for quality specimens to several $1,000s for coins with exceptional strike and visual appeal. This wide range reflects both rarity in preserved quality and collector demand, particularly in an era where many coins from the 1980s were discarded or heavily circulated. Coin auctions, private sales, and online marketplaces often see competition for these coins, as serious numismatists recognize that a 1986D nickel in very fine condition represents not just a piece of currency, but a historical artifact that embodies American history, minting craftsmanship, and collector prestige. Collectors often look beyond mere market value, examining coins for eye appeal, toning, and surface integrity. A 1986D nickel with a natural, even patina and minimal contact marks will typically command a higher premium than a similar coin with uneven discoloration or abrasions. Furthermore, provenance, the coin's history of ownership, can add intangible value. Coins that have been part of notable collections, or that come from estate collections known for careful preservation, are often more sought after. This is particularly true for Washington nickels, where collectors study everything from mint errors and die varieties to subtle planchet anomalies. For example, some 1986D nickels exhibit minor doubling on the date or mint mark, a phenomenon that can make a common coin unexpectedly valuable in the right market. Finally, beyond grading, rarity, and market value, the 1986D Washington nickel serves as a window into the broader narrative of U.S. coinage. It connects collectors to the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, whose profile has adorned the nickel since 1938, and to the story of Monticello, a symbol of American architecture, innovation, and history. Each coin in very fine condition carries decades of circulation, subtle signs of daily use, and yet, when preserved, continues to tell its story in sharp, tangible detail. For collectors, investors, and enthusiasts, this coin is more than metal. It's a tangible piece of history that reflects the artistry, economy, and culture of 1980s America, making the 1986D Washington nickel in very fine condition a must-study and must-own piece for anyone serious about American numismatics. Welcome back, coin collectors and history enthusiasts. Today, we are going to explore one of the most fascinating yet often overlooked coins in modern American numismatics, the 1986D Washington nickel, particularly in very fine condition. While at first glance, a nickel from the mid-1980s may seem like just another common coin, the 1986D holds a story that blends American history, minting artistry, and collector intrigue. Minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark positioned just above the Monticello building on the reverse. This coin is part of the long-running Washington nickel series, first introduced in 1938. The design itself is iconic. The obverse proudly displays President Thomas Jefferson's profile, capturing his dignified expression and detailed hair, while the reverse features Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia estate, rendered in elegant, precise relief. However, the true allure of the 1986 D Washington nickel lies not only in its design but also in the condition in which it survives today, decades after leaving the mint. When we talk about a nickel in very fine condition, we are referring to a coin that has been circulated but retains most of its major details. On the obverse, Jefferson's hairlines are still visible, the facial features are clear, and the outline of his coat shows only light wear. On the reverse, Monticello's architectural details, its columns, windows, and roof, remain distinct, though slightly softened from handling over time. Coins in very fine condition are rarer than casual collectors might expect, especially for a 1986 D nickel, because nickels were heavily circulated in daily transactions. Many coins from this period show scratches, discoloration, or flattening of details. Therefore, finding a 1986 D nickel with balanced wear, even toning, and preserved relief is a true collector's delight. It is a tangible piece of history that has endured 40 years while maintaining the beauty and integrity of its design. The 1986 D nickel also carries subtle nuances that make it unique within the series. Minting practices in the 1980s involved more automated, high-speed production methods, which could produce slight variations in the striking of coins. Some specimens display minor differences in Jefferson's hairlines or in the roofline of Monticello. Certain coins may have a slightly sharper or crisper strike, while others might show minor planchette inconsistencies. For collectors, these small variations are highly significant. They transform what could be seen as an everyday coin into a unique collectible, where attention to detail can dramatically affect value. Coins that are well struck, with clear mint marks, smooth surfaces, and consistent luster, are especially sought after, commanding higher premiums in the marketplace. Speaking of value, the 1986 D Washington nickel in very fine condition has an intriguing profile. While ordinary circulated coins may only be worth a few dollars, those in very fine condition start to command hundreds of dollars, and in rare cases with exceptional strike and preservation, some examples can reach into the thousands of dollars. Market value depends not just on rarity but also on eye appeal, toning, and historical significance. A coin with an even patina and minimal contact marks will generally fetch a higher price than one that appears scratched, unevenly colored, or mishandled. Auction houses, coin shows, and online marketplaces often see serious collectors bidding competitively for these coins, particularly because the 1986 D nickel represents a mid-1980s minting era where coins with such quality are less common than many might think. Beyond grading and value, the 1986 D nickel serves as a window into American history. The coin connects us to Thomas Jefferson, one of the nation's founding fathers, whose visage has graced the nickel for more than 8 decades. It reminds us of Monticello, a symbol not only of Jefferson's architectural vision but of the early American Republic itself. Each coin in very fine condition carries with it decades of circulation, tracing the hands of everyday Americans who used it in commerce, while quietly preserving history in copper and nickel. Numismatists value this connection. Every small scratch, slight wear, or gentle toning tells a story of a coin's journey through time, making it much more than just a piece of metal. For collectors, understanding a 1986 D nickel's grading and market dynamics is critical. Coins are evaluated on multiple factors: strike quality, surface preservation, mint mark clarity, and overall eye appeal. Even among coins with the same date and mint mark, subtle differences can mean a world of difference in value. For instance, a coin with minor doubling on the date or mint mark, sometimes observed due to die imperfections, can elevate a seemingly common coin into a sought-after collectible. Similarly, coins from estate collections or curated collections often carry higher premiums because provenance assures authenticity and careful handling. Serious numismatists pay close attention to these details, making the study of mid-1980s nickels a combination of art, science, and history. The 1986 D Washington nickel is not just about monetary or collectible value, it also represents a teaching moment in American coinage. Collectors and historians study it to understand minting techniques of the 1980s, observe the subtle variations in die pressure and planchette composition, and analyze the wear patterns that emerge over decades of circulation. This coin is a tangible reflection of the economic, cultural, and artistic realities of its era. It demonstrates how even a small 5-cent coin can carry layers of meaning, historical symbolism, technical craftsmanship, and aesthetic beauty. Its survival in very fine condition is a testament to both the durability of U.S. minting practices and the care of collectors who preserved it for posterity. In conclusion, the 1986 D Washington nickel in very fine condition is far more than a common coin, it is a numismatic treasure. Its precise design, historical context, subtle variations, and enduring aesthetic appeal make it highly desirable for collectors. From auction houses to private collections, this coin can command prices ranging from hundreds to thousands of dollars, depending on strike quality, preservation, and provenance. Beyond value, it is a story frozen in metal, a story of Thomas Jefferson, Monticello, American artistry, and the careful work of the Denver Mint. For anyone interested in U.S. coins, American history, or the fascinating world of numismatics, the 1986 D Washington nickel is a must-study piece, offering lessons in grading, historical insight, and the collector's eye, while reminding us that even a small 5-cent coin can hold enormous significance in the story of a nation.